Hello everyone, my name is Balkis. Today's tutorial is going to be based on how to make a fitted flare skirt. It is a type of a mermaid skirt. It is into three parts. We have this main skirt, we have the flare part, and then we have this short gathered fabric. So what are the essential measurements you need? For the horizontal measurement, you need your waist measurement. Like mine is 36 inches. For the hip, it is 34 inches. Then you will need the band height, like what I have here, it is 1.5 inches. You will need your waist to hip measurements. Mine is 8 inches. Then you need the length of the skirt, the total, that is from here down to here. Mine is 44 inches. Then the length of this gathered fabric here is just 7 inches. You could extend it if you want. So now back to the skirt. The band height, 1.5 inches. Then from here, because you will be cutting this separately, the band separately, so from this waist measurement without a band to where the flare will start. So what you will do to determine this is just minimum of 1 inch or 2 inches above your knee level. Like mine is 19 inches. So from here, from being bandless down to here is 19 inches. So when you are cutting on your fabric, you just make it 20 because you will need seam allowance to attach to the flare. So the flare, when I'm cutting, will be 23 inches, 23.5 inches. So I'll go over it again. The band height will be 1.5 inches. Then from this place down to above your knee, depending on whatever you measure on yourself. Mine is 19 inches. And then the flare will be 23.5 inches. So all this should total up to 44 inches, which is the length of the skirt. Then another vital thing you have to know, I said my waist to my hip is 8 inches, that is from here to here. But when you are cutting, you will cut the band and this separately. So you have to take away 1.5 inches from this 8 inches to get from here now down to your hip. So from here, I will be using 6.5 inches. So right now, let's go over to our fabric and then start cutting out. So right now, I have the band already cut out. Remember I said I want the band height to be 1.5. So what I did was that it has to be on fold. Remember that. Can you see? So on fold here, I have 2 inches. So by the time I take in 1/2 inch, I will be left with 1.5. And then for the circumference of that, I made it 38. Let me just fold it. Half of 38, that is 19 inches. Can you see that? Because it's actually 18, then I need 1 inch seam allowance on both sides because it has to overlap. So we are done with the band. So right now, let's go to the main skirt. I have this for the front and this for the back. But let's start with the front panel. We will use that to cut out the back panel. So now, remember I said from here, the band is off now. From here down to here is 19 inches. But because of the hemming allowance, I will make it 20 inches. So this is the baseline. So from here now, down here, I have 20 inches, which is okay. The next thing now is the waist to the hip. Remember I said, after removing this upper part, you will have 6.5 inches. So from here now to here, I have 6.5 inches. The next thing is to insert our horizontal measurement. Now, quarter of my waist measurement is 9 inches. So which I have here. But because I'm using a cotton fabric, I will need to add that to it. But if it is a stretchy fabric, you don't need to add that. So and for the dart, I will take 1/2 inch on both sides, which will make it 1. So I will add 1 inch to whatever my waist measurement is. So I said my waist measurement, that is quarter of it, is 9 inches plus 1, that will make it 10. The reason why it's 10 is because of the dart. So now this is 10 inches. Remember, you will need 1 inch for the sewing allowance, which is here. Then we'll go over to the hip. Quarter of my hip measurement is 11 inches, but I'll just add 1/4 inch for his. So this is what I have here. Then do not forget the sewing allowance. Then for the skirt, for the place above your knee, what you do is this. It has to be tapered because it has to show your figure. Like here, for the hip, I made it 11¼ So now for this part, you just take away 1 inch or 1½ from whatever you took for your hip measurement. So since I took 11¼ I could just make this 10½ depending on what you want, or 10 inches, or even 9½ It all depends on what you want. So to be so tapered, I will make use of 9½ So this is 9½. Then 1 inch for the hemming allowance. Right now we have to connect all the points. Then this part will be used for this area because I want it to be curvy. I want it to show my shape so well. That is the essence of the hip curve. So if you've not gotten yours, just get in touch with us so that you can have yours. Can you see what I have now? This upper part, you need hemming allowance to add this to the band. Remember, we already left 1/2 inch here, so we need to add 1/2 inch to this part. So all you have to do is to come up here by 1/2 inch. So here also we should measure 1/2 inch and make it a straight line. But because of the abdomen area, you have to come down by 1/2 inch. So instead of measuring 1/2 inch here, just ignore it and then take your hip curve and connect from this 1/2 inch down to this point. So this is what you will have. So just mark your chalk upward and connect. This should be straight. Can you see what I have? So this is the 1/2 inch in which we came down, but here we left it. So now the next thing is to cut it out before we now talk about the darts. So I haven't done this now. The next thing is to take the darts. So for your darts, you will need your bust span. Half of my bust span is 4½. That is the measurement from one nipple to another. So mine is 4½. So 4½ will be here. Here. Then the next thing is to take 1/2 inch on both sides. 1/2 inch here. 1/2 inch here. Then this 4½ you measured here, just come down here, measure the same thing, and then draw a straight line to connect the upper one. Can you see that? So this is for the front dart. For the back dart, you do the same thing, but that is after the zipper allowance. Then you just measure 2 inches or 2½ inches above for your dart. After that, then I'll connect from here to here and the other one too. So this is the dart. Can you see that? So this is what we'll be taking in on both sides. So now for the back panel, this is what I have. I just had to mark all these just for you to be explanatory. This is the zipper allowance, 1 inch for it. You could do 1½ depending on what you want. Remember, for this part we came up by 1/2 inch for the hemming allowance, but because of the abdomen area we came in by 1/2 inch again. But for the back, the 1/2 inch should be intact. It's only for the front that you will come in by 1/2 inch. So what I will do now is to place this front panel on the back panel. This is the zipper allowance, and then I will cut out. And then that I said it is the same for the back, just that since we came up by 2 inches for the back, it will be 1 inch. Then make sure you notch at the hip area because it has to match. After doing that, so the 1/2 inch from the baseline is here, so I will have to trim this off. Then I will, since we are done with this, so this is the front. For the back, if you want it to be tapered, just go in 1/2 inch here and then connect to this hip line. This is the hip line, or depending on how low you want your zipper to be. So then I will just trim it off. So this will make the butt so prominent. So by the time you now want to take the 1 inch for your zipper, you will go into this measurement. Then I will open this up. So can you see it now? So what I will do now is to join all this together. This is the front and back, so it will be facing on the wrong side. So I will have to join this side and this side. Then I will take in all the darts. Now the fabric has been sewn together. This is for the front and this is for the back. Also the dart has been sewn in. Can you see that? So this is what it looks like. So now the gathered fabric. So remember I said I want the length, that is this particular gathered fabric, to be 7.5 inches. So what I have here is 9 inches because I will need hemming allowance here to attach it together. Then for the fold, how long it will be. This is for the front and this is for the back. So what I did was, quarter of my hip measurement is 11 inches. So I just multiplied that by 2.5 and that gives me 27.5. So on fold, this is 27.5. So I have extra 1.25 inches, so I just left that. So this will be for the front on fold and this will be for the back. So what I will do is to gather each one. Then we can now go to the flare. So right now we need to make the flare part. So for the flare, you will need the radius. Why? Because we will be cutting it this way, and I will be using a 1/2 circle flare because I have less fabric. Full circle consumes more fabric. So what I will do now to get the radius is this. I will just open this since I've sewn in and then measure all through. After measuring, I have 40 inches. Since I have 40 inches for this circumference, so what I will do now is to divide that 40 inches by 3.142 because it is a 1/2 circle flare. So when I divide it, I will have 12.7 inches. So now to cut this, remember I said I want the length of the flare to be 23.5 inches. So I will add the length of this flare, which is 23.5, plus the radius, which is 12.7. So the total will now be 36.2 inches. So what I will measure out now for my flare will be 36.2 inches. So now let's go over to cut. So now to fold the fabric, this is what I have. Just fold this way and make sure this place is 36, more than the 36.2. So here I have like 37.5, which is okay. So after folding it twice this way, then I will now fold it in a triangular form. And you see what I have. So now the 36.2 will be along this place. So now we can start with the radius and then the length of the flare. So I haven't folded it into the triangular form. So the next thing now is to first map out the radius, which is 12.7. So just place your measuring tape at the edge and measure 12.7. So that is 12.5 will be 12.5. So 7 would be just additional 2. So 12.7 is here. Then I will keep rotating the measuring tape 12.7 all through. The next one, after this is the radius, the next one now will be the length of the flare plus the radius, which is 36.2. So from the edge, just make sure 36.2. 1, 2 after 36. So this is what I have. Then you keep rotating it the same way, 36.2, and I will keep going on and on like that. So now the next thing is to cut it out. Since the lower part is off now, then I will cut off. Before cutting off this radius now, remember we will need some allowance to add it to the main fabric. So depending on what you want, assuming you want ½ inch hemming allowance, just add ½ inch at the upper part. Use the pin chalk, so ½ inch. So this will serve as the hemming allowance. So you'll be cutting from the hemming allowance. So this will be the flare. Can you see that? So remember we measured the 1 inch for the zipper allowance on the main dress. So all you have to do is to sew it up before attaching to the main skirt. So right now let's see how the sewing goes. So the next thing now for this is on the wrong side. I will just take this and sew in the zipper allowance. I want my zipper to stop here from the edge. So I'll take it to the sewing machine and just sew 1 inch all through and stop at the point where I want the zipper to stop. I haven't sewn the 1 inch. This is what I have. Then I press it open. So right now I'll turn it to this is the right side. So all you have to do is to place your zipper inward and then make sure it stops here, because we left ½ inch to add to the main band. So right now I'll just pin all these down, then take to my sewing machine and sew. Come this way and sew it all down. So the zipper has been fixed into the skirt. So the next thing now is to go to the flare part. So I've gathered my fabric to be 40 inches. So what I will do now is to attach the gathered fabric to the flare. And you see that, let's do a basting stitch and make sure it's equal. So after doing that, then we can close up this side before attaching to the main fabric. So now, having sewn the gathered fabric to the flare, I've hemmed it. Then the next thing now is to turn it to the right side. This is what it looks like on the right side. So the area in which you join will be attached to the zipper allowance here at the lower part. So right now I will attach it and show you how it looks. So after attaching it, this is what it looks like. Can you see? So beautiful and nice. So let me show you the back. Can you see the back? It's so nice. So the next thing now is to hem the lower part and then attach the band. Can you see? I already folded in the band. So what you have to do is to fold this way, so like ½ inch. Once you've done that, you bring it out, then you start attaching from the back. You start attaching, just put it inside this way. I've made a detailed video on this, on how to sew a pencil skirt, and then you keep attaching it all through, then you add hook and eye. That's how it looks. After doing that, then I will show you how it looks on. And this is the result of the skirt we just made. Can you see? So beautiful and nice. Make sure you make yours and share with us on our Facebook group, Sewing Innovations. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, Lucky Signatures. Make yours and make sure you subscribe. Bye.